Aside from running the Harvard Law Review and directing his own presidential campaign, President Barack Obama entered the White House with no real executive experience. Now he's grappling with the challenges of running one of the largest enterprises in the world under the most trying circumstances. How's he handling the pressure? What's an average day like? And how are his wife, Michelle, and their young daughters adjusting? The president talked about all of that as he gave us a tour of the White House grounds.
So have you gotten into a routine?
I have. I typically work out in the morning. Michelle's often there with me. After the workout, have breakfast, read the papers, read my morning security briefing, and then I come down here and talk to our national security team. Then we talk to the economic team. After that, who knows? Anything goes. But typically, between 7 and 10 o'clock, I sort of know what I'm doing.
And this is the living quarters?
This is the living quarters up on the second floor. We got a gym right over there, up on the third floor. And the second floor is our bedrooms on this side, and we've got a dining room on that side. Pretty nice digs.
How are you finding the job?
It's exhilarating. It's challenging. I find that the governance part of it, the decision-making part of it, actually comes pretty naturally. I think I've got a great team. I think we're making good decisions. The hardest thing about the job is staying focused, because there's so many demands and decisions that are pressed upon you.
What's the hardest decision you've had to make in the last 60 days?
Well, I would say that the decision to send more troops into Afghanistan. I think it's the right thing to do, but it's a weighty decision, because we actually had to make the decision prior to the completion of a strategic review that we were conducting. When I make a decision to send 17,000 young Americans to Afghanistan, you can understand that intellectually, but understanding what that means for those families, for those young people, when you end up sitting at your desk signing a condolence letter to one of the family members of a fallen hero, you're reminded each and every day, at every moment, that the decisions you make count.
What's the most frustrating part of the job?
The fact that you are often confronted with bad choices that flow from less than optimal decisions made a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, when you weren't here. A lot of times when things land at my desk, it's a choice between bad and worse. And as somebody pointed out to me, the only things that land on my desk are tough decisions, because if they were easy decisions, somebody down the food chain's already made them.
Mm-hmm. How many decisions do you have to make a day?
Can't count them.
Lots?
Yeah, lots.
Every time somebody walks in your office?
There's a decision. Otherwise, they don't get a meeting.
And you're briefed for all that before it happens?
I am. I spend a lot of time reading. People keep on asking me, well, what are you reading these days? Well, mostly briefing books. You get a little time to read history or, policy books that are of interest. But there's a huge amount of information that has to be digested, especially right now, because the complexities of Afghanistan are matched, maybe even dwarfed, by the complexities of the economic situation. And there are a lot of moving parts to all of that.
Do you take a day off?
I do. It's never a full day, but typically Saturdays and Sundays, I'll wander down to the Oval Office. I'll do some work, but I'll still have time for the kids.
On most days, the president says he and the First Lady are able to have a family dinner with their children, and he usually sees his two daughters in the afternoon when they come home from school and pay him a visit in the West Wing. He can look out the window of the Oval Office and watch them play on their new swing set.
Pretty spectacular swing set. I have to say that I was not the purchaser of this. The Admiral, our chief usher, Admiral Steve Rochon, took great interest when we said that we should get a swing set, and found what I assume must be the Rolls Royce of swing sets.
You didn't have one of these when you were a kid.
I sure did not. I thought we were going to get like 2 swings, but they went all out.
Have the girls had kids over after school?
They have, and they've tested this out, and it got a thumbs up.
Are they liking it here?
You know, they are adapting remarkably in ways that I just would not have expected.
Well, this is pretty cool.
Well, it's cool, but what's interesting is actually how unimpressed they are with it. I mean, they're going to school. They are unchanged. They're the same sweet, engaging, happy, unpretentious kids that they were.
And they're having fun.
They do seem to be having fun. And Michelle is thriving as well. I mean, she just started a vegetable garden out here.
Oh, where's that? Is that nearby?
That's pretty far down. But they just actually, all the chefs from the White House staff went down there with her, and they started digging ground, and they're going to be planting stuff. And this is part of the message that she wants to send about good nutrition.
Michelle Obama had broken ground for the vegetable garden a few hours earlier on the South Lawn with the help of some Washington school children. Just a small patch of land on the sprawling White House grounds that cover 18 acres. As for the 55,000-square-foot house, the first family is still exploring the 132 rooms and 35 bathrooms. Have you gotten lost in here yet?
I have, repeatedly.
Harry Truman called the White House the Great White Jail, and Bill Clinton said he couldn't make up his mind whether it was the finest public housing in America or the jewel of the prison system.
The bubble that the White House represents is tough, and one of the things that I'm constantly struggling with is how to break out of it. You know, I've taken to the practice of reading 10 letters selected from the 40,000 that we get every night, just to hear from voices outside of my staff. The inability to just go and sit at a corner coffee shop and have a chat with people, or just listen to what folks are saying at the next table. That, I think, is something that, as a president, you've got to constantly fight against.
For more of President Obama at the White House, go to 60minutes.com.